Folks, what if you could be on a TEDx stage? I have with me my good friend, Cesar Cervantes. And Cesar, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this for the whole week, so I'm
Oh,
stoked.
man. Listen, we're going to tell people this is the unfiltered truth. Okay. So, this is the unfiltered truth. Unfiltered truth is before I met you, I tried 6 years ago, at least 6 years ago, maybe longer, to get on the TEDx stage. And I got a big rejection. So I have no shame. I'll share that with people. And then I worked with you and I got 10 offers.
You got so much interest. I think I haven't gone and done the math on all their clients, but you for sure you're in the top two or three of like the number of offers that came in. And I remember even like up until like a couple of weeks ago, you were still hearing back from
Oh yeah,
people
I
and
still yeah,
invitations.
absolutely. So I want people to really pay attention because you have a passion for this. And I'll tell you what, Caesar, the images that I've gotten, we'll show a few here, but I mean, they did a really solid job.
Oh
And
yeah,
you've seen some of these pictures, but you got to play the TEDx bigger than just the TEDx. And
absolutely.
we're gonna teach people a lot of stuff today. So I want to encourage people, if you found this, you found the right live stream. If you have a passion for this, share it with a friend, tag somebody who you've been saying for a while, hey, you need to get a TEDx. In fact, if you know somebody, we got people right now, Facebook user, this person must be in a group so we can't see their face. Mary Pat's here. She says she's in. But Caesar, I will tell you that I believe that what made the difference is the way I filled out the application.
Hmm.
And you know the secret sauce.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I think first of all, I think we dig into the idea and then we communicate it in a way that's powerful, right? But also then layered with kind of the TED lingo and what we know that they like to see. And we had a lot of fun writing your application and collaborating with you on that. I remember, delivering it to you for the first time. And what we always hope for is that people hear it and they just go like, wow, this is better than I thought it could be. And I feel like that
Oh
was
my
your
gosh.
experience.
I remember when I got it, I could see it. I mean, you know when you get a script and you can see the person on the stage, you can see yourself presenting it.
Yeah.
There's so many thoughts I have about this training right now, and I got to take people in. So, Caesar, maybe I am the tour guide and you're the person who's going to then share the real stuff
That
uh,
sounds good.
behind the curtain. So, I think why I got rejected with my first TEDx years ago, I wasn't trying to be self-promoting, but as an author who wrote a book, I mean, honestly, my first TEDx, I think, application was something about like how I went to jail and wrote a book in Shawshank Prison or something like that.
Right.
Something like that. I thought, well, that's interesting. Who's written a book in Andy Dufresne's cell from Shawshank? So
Right.
it's an interesting thing, but I didn't position it at all, the
Yeah.
TEDx style. So to help people, because there's authors here, authors I love and care about. Why would that be a bad TEDx? And again, I'm not saying that was the title, but why would
Right.
that be bad concept right there?
Well, first of all, I think like it does one thing good, which is it breeds curiosity, right?
Mm.
And that is something we want to do.
So
But
number one point, if you're taking notes, TEDx talk titles need to be, would you say, breed curiosity?
yeah, there's a few different ways to do it, but curiosity is one way to kind of pull people in, right?
Mm.
But actually, the application itself, some of
Oh,
the most common feedback that people get is we're not quite sure what it is, what it's going to be.
interesting.
And I think that the idea that you just kind of presented or initially, it doesn't have the problem and solution. And I think a
Interesting.
lot of times when we come from the space of like, I don't know, motivational speaking or maybe just a
Sure.
keynote, it's kind of, there is like storytelling to it and that sort of thing. But TED is really focused on like, what problem are you solving and how can we be a part of solving it together?
Interesting. Okay. So just doing something cool or unique, like living in Shawshank prison cell is can't be, but I've seen people do TEDx talks where they've sailed around the world or something
Yeah.
crazy, but you're saying that it can't just be about the experience, you have to be solving a problem.
Yeah, I'm saying that if you want a lot of interest, multiple invitations like you got, these are the things that we do. I do hear from people sometimes when I give feedback, they're like, well, so and so did a talk and it was like this and it's on TEDx. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, right? What we want is we want a lot of interest and we want an excellent talk, right? Um, there's so many variables when it comes to why folks are selected. And so I wouldn't pay too much attention to what you've seen or what's out there.
Yeah.
I would go with what we know Ted is asking for.
Interesting. So don't base an application on what is on the TEDx website because each one is an independent,
Yeah.
organized event, and you might nothing against anybody. I'm
Right.
really not throwing anyone under the bus, but I will just tell you 100% truth that the range of quality of TEDx events is vast. Would you
It
agree
is.
with that?
It is because you don't know. Well, first of all, it's volunteer driven, so a lot of times they'll do one event and it'll never happen again. That is true because there's so much work involved. What that means is that there's a lot of
Interesting.
first timers that are popping up, or the team will totally turn over from one year to the next.
That
Now,
is interesting.
what I would say though is like it's not necessarily a reason to say no because I've seen incredible events from first timers and they put everything into it, what it's just that you want to be aware, cautious, know that there's, some risk involved in that. And if you get multiple invitations, then yeah, you want to go with the one that probably has been around more. You look at the videos that they've produced and
Oh,
generally,
that's good. That's a good tip right
yeah.
there. So you're literally saying if you do get offers, if you get multiple offers, by the way, here's one of our authors who got a TEDx um, many years ago, and now she's finally writing her book. I'm
Yeah.
so excited for her book. But the point is that you would literally go watch the videos of the current location and say, is the quality and was it run
Yeah.
with high level?
I would say that's a good way to assess how it's going to be the next go around. It doesn't mean that it's going to be that good or not that good because again those teams can turn over. But what I would say is that when you look at the ones that are producing really great stuff and they have, great coaching and Ted pays attention to their speakers, those are ones that have been around, 5, 6 more years.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's one way to assess.
Oh,
But
that's so good. That's such a good tip.
yeah,
So mine, my guys at Oshkosh,
Oshkosh, yep.
Craig and Michael, I did not know them, but they were one of the people. I mean, so I can't remember. You probably know more than me, but I had like you said, 10 locations offer. Some were in exotic, cool places. But when Oshkosh came in, I was like, that's pretty sweet because I'm from Wisconsin.
Hmm.
I knew my parents could watch it, and then I was like, "Ooh, Oshkosh is near Green Bay. Wait,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, there's a Green Bay Packer game. Wait, my mom's 72, she's never been to a Packer game in her life." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, this could be like an amazing weekend." And, so I leaned into that, but then as
Yep.
I got to, look at the TEDx, these guys have been doing it since 2018.
Hmm.
And I started to share with you some of their details. And
Hmm.
again, we're not going to talk bad about them, but we are going to be honest. you kind of said like, these guys are really involved.
Yeah, they're involved.
And I mean, involved is a good word and a bad word, meaning like you could tell they were taking this serious,
Right.
but
Yeah.
they also had opinions. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that this is a good example of how much it can, how widely it can vary. You can have organizers, a committee. I mean, it could be as few as one or two people running an event, or it could be dozens of folks that are on team and volunteers. And I've seen great events happen from small teams and big teams alike. I think, there are some locations that take it seriously because at the end of the day, it's a business. And
What do
even
you mean by that?
though,
What do you mean
so
by that?
you can create a nonprofit that essentially then accepts funding, donations, et cetera, so that you can
Interesting.
run this event. Yep. And you can absolutely pay people who are, on production and every other job, but the organizer cannot make money from it. The organizer needs to be a volunteer. And so you can build an event out that really that is profitable in a sense, right? And so I would say what
By the way, check out that shot. Is that
that's
crazy?
amazing. That's
Dude,
beautiful.
that it's in a massively old theater. They have event people, they have swag bags, they have t-shirts, they have
I love it.
sponsors. Keep going. I'm listening.
I
Keep
love it. You got to send me these shots.
okay.
So look, I mean, I think when at the end of the day, their product, they have the event, but then the product is the video, right? And the way that they
Which I have
grow,
not seen yet. I have
yeah.
not seen mine.
So that'll come, forth. Sometimes they let you be a part of the editing, sometimes they don't. But when you think about it, there's two things happening. There's the event itself, which they can sell tickets for. You get donations. That's where like there's a lot of buzz and fun, and the ideas are spread, and people love to engage in those. But then ultimately, the thing that's produced is the videos that go out, and the views that you get from that breeds more attention to the event itself, and it just kind of grows and grows from there.
All right, man. I love to see people ask questions. By the way, I met some really cool people. This gentleman, Jordan, who is literally disabled in a significant way. His talk was, do we ask or expect too much from disabled people? It was amazing. This woman spoke about, she's from the Netherlands. She's incredible about audio and hearing aids.
Cool.
There's my parents right there. Boom, boom.
All right.
And I was right behind the stage here, man, ready to go at this point. The nerves were killer, even though I speak all the time.
Yep.
We'll talk about that here in a moment. But there's me on the stage, of course, doing my thing. And let's talk briefly, because I know we have a lot of people watching and they're asking questions. Vivian's here. I got to thank Michelle. Oh my gosh. Michelle's the one who introduced
Oh,
us.
that's right. Hey, Michelle.
So Michelle, at first I was going to have Michelle talk a little bit about this, but then I went with StreamYard, so I deeply apologize. You know what, Tanisha, I don't know if it's possible, but send Michelle the private link so we can bring her on the show if that's possible. So
Yeah,
Michelle,
Michelle's done 2 talks now.
yeah,
And
exactly. So we'll bring Michelle on. But let's talk about this. Cesar, my hourly rate, just like your hourly rate, is off the charts because it's the way that I fund most things. I have a whole team of people and they do amazing, and we do books and publishing and IP protection and all the stuff. But my hourly rate is crazy. And yet I spent 100 hours easily over 100 hours practicing, but also, it went through multiple drafts. I had to go through auditions.
right.
There's the travel itself. I speak all the time, but speaking with a script
Yeah.
was mind blowing in a hard way.
Yeah.
Why do we have to memorize the script?
Yeah. So, well, first I'll say, like, yeah, the investment that you put in of your time is huge, because I think that the this is like the perfect piece of content. If you do it right, it's a
Mm.
short form video that says exactly what you want it to say on one of the most credible platforms that there is for thought leadership and speaking, right? And so it's worth it. In terms of the script, it's twofold. One is, because I hear this a lot, it's sort of like, well, that's not my style. You know, I go up there and talk and
Oh yeah, I just have bullet points. I mean, I said
right.
all that, and every speaker that I was up there with said that.
Yep. And generally speaking, like if you go to like Toastmasters or something, that's kind of what they teach. And the reason for that is that the generally like we want you folks want to sound authentic and like it's just happening. And
Mm.
if you know this, what you're talking about, it's not that necessary, right? Um, and a lot of people have trouble translating a script into sounding just like they're talking and it's authentic, right? So
Yeah,
that's why we do it. That's why the advice is out there to do it. TED is different because it's filmed and they have to fact check everything that
that is the truth.
that you submit. And TED this is actually a new requirement of the TEDx event organizers because they're protecting their brand and they just want to make sure that
You're
there's
not saying jacked up,
yes,
untrue stuff.
and there's layers to it, right? So there's that layer, but then they do their own review once the video gets uploaded, etc. So that's the primary reason why it all has to be done like that now.
Yeah,
But I would say the secondary reason is that, and if you're, if you're a speaker, um, over time, you do memorize it,
I
right?
did. I did. I memorized the whole thing. I've never felt so confident. Hey, Michelle, we're gonna come to you in 1 second, okay, my friend? You get ready. Can't
But
wait.
but I mean, Kary, like even like a keynote that you might do over and over again, eventually it's beyond memorized. You
You
own
own it.
it.
Ah,
And that's what we're trying to get to on the TED stage is beyond memorization.
yeah,
Like you own it so well and you know exactly what lines you want to hit
yeah.
when you want to hit them.
And I'm gonna give you props, and I'm gonna give my speaking coach, John Gigante. So you kinda gave me, like, everything to get the TEDx talk, help writing it. I had to rewrite it, 7 times, not because not be I mean, Craig and Michael, man, they really man, they
They're in
really
it.
had a lot of thoughts and, but anyway, I like at the end, though, where you're like, "Kary, you just gotta this is your talk."
Hmm.
And that eventually I was like, I just had to draw a line. Not that I said anything against either of them, but I'm like, guys, I can't take a rabbit
Yeah.
trail and define blockchain and go down a whole path for like 5 minutes about what blockchain is, or even like 2 minutes, you know? Anyway, long
Yep.
story short, I don't even know where I was going with that, but here's the point. So John, John came in as my kind of like speaking coach the last week.
Hmm.
And here's what I was going to say. There were some speakers who were not prepared well.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I love everybody. Everyone had a heart of gold.
Yep.
Everyone was amazing. But I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to tell you that there were different levels of preparation.
For sure.
Some people, when the moment they got off script, you could tell they were lost. And that was really my fear. That was my fear, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget something and then totally, like, go blank and be off script." And that was my
Right.
big fear. But then, John and just the amount of reps the final week. But
Yep.
then there are other people who, and I've seen this, and I'm not gonna say if it was at ours. I'm not gonna say if it was ours. But I've seen a TEDx talk, not at ours, where somebody read a teleprompter. Is that even legal?
You're not supposed to do that. Yeah, that TED actually says no, they don't do that.
I saw
Because
that happen, and
yeah,
and
unless
and
you're trained in that, it's going to come off like you're reading.
it came off really bad, and this was
Right.
not at our place. But I saw one online, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like,
Yeah,
rather than the person getting credibility, they actually lost
that's
credibility.
right. That's
What
right.
do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that, you have to, it has to be beyond memorized. And the only way to do that, is to put in the hours and the reps, and also to practice it live in front of people.
I did that. I tested in front of my my class
Yep.
the last week.
It's the only way to go.
So scary. Let's bring on Michelle, because again, she connected us, and I'm really glad she did. And
I love it.
And then Sarah Grandstaff, my integrator, she's like, you need to do it. And I actually didn't want to do it because I knew it was such a big commitment. I'm so glad I did it. We'll talk about how I'm going to leverage it and how it's already bringing in more influence, impact, and income, even though the video is not out yet. But let's bring Michelle on. Michelle, what's up?
Hey, thanks for having me. Hey, how are you?
Hey, so you've done 2, and I swear I will never do another one again. Not that it was bad. It was great, but I never want to do it again.
Yeah, but you were smarter, like, because you researched my first versus the second were very, very different. And I didn't know that they could vary that much. And I put some comments down there as to how the surprises for me.
Oh, yeah. We'll find your comments. Yeah.
But I wanted to just speak into what you guys were talking about, because you were talking about memorizing it and that, and it being prepared for those talks has changed everything I do with any presentations.
Wow.
I learned so much, like, through Cesar and other people, but each venue had their own coaches. And sometimes we had to listen to our coach from that venue and not Cesar. So of course, like you hear a lot of feedback, but in the end, we have to own that.
But you say something though in your comments that shocks me.
Yes.
But I've heard this as well. You say that certain TEDx locations allow you to start, stop, and it's all about the actual, like, filming, and the audience is just kind of listening in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. That would have been nice.
So the first one, like, they ran through it. You couldn't stop. You had to be ready, and we did a trial run, right? The night before. The second one, I actually got on stage 4 different times because the mic wasn't working. Like, for some reason, their system.
Wow.
And so I started, stop. And so it was more, I don't know, it was just very different. But they also had better editors. So that when it came time to putting the production, sending me my clip, there was a lot more to that editing. Different angles, and then the beginning of it. So that was a surprise to me. And then, but what I wanted to say, organizing the speech, I color coded. So in the speech, you got to memorize it. So what I did was I color coded certain stories. And I just remembered those snippets in that color. And I would say them as I was vacuuming. I would say them as I was cooking, different like colors to memorize, but not memorize, because there were, your inflections had to be at the right time. Well, all that. Anyway, so.
Yeah, that's great.
So good. It's so good.
Helped.
I love it. Let's talk about the practical use. So it's one thing, to be like on your bio, hey, I'm a TEDx speaker. I'm not against that at all. I put it on on an extended bio. I have a plan for my talk, and I'll share that in a moment. But what was your plan? What did you do with it? How have you leveraged it? Because I think if people are going to spend this much time and effort, there has to be like some kind of strategy going on. What do you think?
So I think there's a rule, so many second clips. And I went to Fiverr, and I found a person to take both talks and give and create these. I don't know if it's 30-second clips. You can't. Is it 30 or 60 seconds? You can't go over.
They used to say that you couldn't chop it up. They used to say that it needed to stay in form, but now they say basically you can use it for social media. And I don't even think that there's they're just basically like, do what you want.
Yeah. So I would put like the 30 seconds on Instagram it was a reel. And then I would, write about it below. That was just one of the things I did. But I actually did hire a marketing firm to help me get it out there.
Yeah. So, okay.
That was I was opposed at first. And then I thought, well, my goal is to reach 1 million moms by 2025. Why am I opposed to that? So
Interesting. I love it. So kind of like what you're saying, Michelle, here's my guy, John. And, Cesar, again, helped me write the script. John then helped me present it. And we broke it down. One filter that I want to give it as a tip, and I don't know if you agree with this, Cesar. By the way, we met the Ghostbusters there.
I love that.
But one tip that John said is, what do you want the audience to feel?
Yes.
At each place in the talk?
Correct.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. So the reason why that's great advice is that the audience is going to feel what you feel. And so that allows you to be present in your talk to emote the things that you want them to feel. And so I think ultimately by thinking about that, it allows you to respond in a very authentic way to what you're saying. And also, as intellectual as TED kind of is in certain talks and in certain moments,
right?
Ultimately, the reason why we share things is because we feel something and it connects with us and we connect with the speaker. And so ultimately, when you think about like, what do I want to have happen from this talk? You should say, I want people to share it.
That's good. That's good. Michelle, last question for you, and then Cesar and I will keep rolling with some stuff. But first of all, thank you for connecting me to him. Secondly, I know you want to help moms. I know that you chopped it up and you used it for social media. Has the TEDx talk brought you any new opportunities that you can know of? Because I know a lot of times we don't know all the ones, and we realize that people found us. But what do you think?
So I'm kind of a different entity in that I don't really aspire to travel and to speak, or I'm not pushing for that. I'm retired, and I've kind of, but it just gives me more credibility. But in the end, it's not about me. It's about our loved ones who are really suffering and changing the attitudes of people out there. My one TEDx is over 400,000 views. And so,
oh my gosh,
the comments,
wow.
That's what keeps me going. Like, I can read something and somebody will say, you just changed my whole perception of how I'm handling this problem with my child. And, I'll just be moved to tears, because if we can build better relationships with those who are suffering or struggling.
400,000 views. I mean, that the Ohio State Buckeyes play and it's 100,000 people, but think about 4 stadiums of people. That is amazing.
Wow. Thank you. Anyway, thanks for
give Cesar a 60-second tip, because he's about ready to publish his book. So he's gone from speaker to now, our collaboration with each other is, hey, Cesar, I'll help you with your publishing. You help me with my speaking. And it's a great collaboration. What would you tell Cesar about this book?
Just say, use it as the beginning of a relationship with all your readers. Just use it for that purpose. And I probably learned that from you, Kary.
Oh, no, that's great. That's great.
All right.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much.
Let me know and I'll share it. Okay.
Yeah, we're putting a link for you there, Michelle. Awesome.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. God bless.
Awesome. That was so cool. So Cesar, let's I think people are loving this. And Estelle is one of our authors. She's about ready to launch her book, but she says, I'm getting radio speaking podcasts. I've gotten clients. Yeah. Do I dare answer the question, Cesar, of why I did it?
Why not? I want to hear it.
So I think originally when I went to you and your amazing friend, Steve, business partner, whatever you guys call each other, Steve. Steve's super helpful. When I originally went to you guys, I kind of said, hey, how about I do a talk around how to turn your book into 18 streams of income? Because that's really, whenever I said that over the last 15 years, people are always like, oh my gosh, wait, hold on. What? A book's not a business card? Wait, hold on. And it seems like a cool idea. Why did you tell me no? And why did you say instead this unsexy topic of blockchain technology? Because it's funny. I was at the TEDx event and they're like, what's your talk? And it's like, disabled people, do we expect too much of them? What's your talk? And then what's your talk? Blockchain. But I'm like, trust me, if you listen, it will be amazing. And they all laugh. But why did you pick that versus?
Well, first I'll say, like, anything sort of income or revenue driven for TED can be kind of like feel like it's about
Pitching,
advancing
sales.
your business or sales, even if it's not. But if it's presented that way, they start to shy away from it. So I knew we didn't want to lead with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you started talking about kind of like, intellectual property and how there's a new way to protect it and like it's linked to blockchain, I mean, not only is this emerging, but in a way it's also a tech talk that they don't get enough applications in that world. So I knew that up front. I also really liked that the heart of your talk was about protecting ideas.
Yes.
And TED is about spreading ideas, right?
Yeah.
So it was a perfect relationship. And to be frank, like, I think the level of interest that you received was because of the combination of these things.
It's interesting because you're right. The average public, person might be like, what? Blockchain. But then as the talk was written and as we began to perform it and began to apply, what the talk was really about, it was about us returning to kids on the playground of life when we used to abracadabra, create ideas as we imagine them. That's what the word abracadabra means. I create as I speak. It came to pass as it was spoken. And then I began to talk about how blockchain, I mean, this was so cool, Cesar, this whole process. But I'm not giving away the TED Talk fully. But I will tell you that there was a survey done by the American Society of Landscape Architects in 2006, where they put two groups of kids on playgrounds. One had a fence and one didn't. And let's just say that's all I'm going to say. But that was the total melody line of the talk. And so again, it was about me. You told Kary, you got to show people in the beginning why you care. So why did you have me talk about how someone stole my idea?
Because that's, well, what that does essentially is it universalizes it, right? It gives you credibility to know like that it happened, it's real. And then you can also tell us the world that you're in without like, it's a way to give your credibility without sort of feeling like you're, giving us the resume. You give us the experience. And that pulls us in. And that way you're not sort of like in the role of accusing. You're saying like, here's what happened to me. And it's probably happened to you in some kind of way as well.
The audience gasped at one part of the talk. It wasn't the part that I thought. So like I thought, there might be this one part that they laughed. That's kind of funny. They didn't laugh. But then I thought, but there was one part where they gasped. And it was when I was even like, wow, why are they gasping? But I guess that was like so dramatic. It was the part where I said knowledge used to double every 1,000 years. But today it doubles every 12 hours.
Right.
And it was like, whew. And then I said, and that is why we need a friction-free way of protecting our intellectual property, our ideas. Right. Because if we have to rely on patents, which cost $20,000 and take 1 to 3 years, we will prevent the best inventions from ever happening in the world. So we need a more friction-free, friendly version, the Uber moment of intellectual property. Like, I'm just telling you, you guys did a great job.
I love it. I can't wait to see the recording and just share it and get it out there, man.
So here's how I'm leveraging it. I'm leveraging it because a lot of people are saying, hey, we heard about this thing called Easy IP. Tell us about it. And honestly, it would take me a long time to teach people about it. You know, I can say it in like one sentence. Hey, a patent costs $20K. It takes 1 to 3 years. Easy IP takes $100, takes 24 hours. I mean, they're all like in when I say that. But to actually explain it on a TEDx stage without being pitchy, because you can't pitch anything on your,
Right.
so I couldn't pitch anything. I couldn't even really say the word Easy IP. Why did you tell me not to like tell them the how? Because at first I was going to be like, oh man, I can demo it. I'll show them how to do it in real life, like right now.
Well, I think, right. First, you want to stray away from the idea that like this is about, showing what the business does, right? What we want to share is it's sort of like, I think of TED Talks as the beginning. It's sort of like, okay, here's the
start of the
problem.
journey.
Yep. Here's my journey to discovering a different way or a new way or an emerging way to solve this problem. And you can be a part of it like right now. Let's go. And so really what you're getting people to do is to consider taking action or to be excited about taking action. And it's the first step. You're not bringing them in as like, okay, like you're super knowledgeable, you're ready to
201
go.
level, 301. It's got to be like
Exactly.
101.
Exactly. And if it's a great talk and they learn something, they're transformed by it in some kind of way, they're going to find out what you do anyway. Like they're going to go and research you
See,
and look you up.
that's really important.
Yep.
Brene Brown. By the way, Simon Sinek, I just read the other day. I don't really follow him, but I've read his books and stuff. It basically started with a TED Talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
And the audio and video was horrible. Do you ever watch it? I mean, like it's jacked. Like
that's right.
The quality is jacked, but he had such compelling content. Do you know how much he makes per talk right now?
I mean, I would probably say over $100,000. That'd be my guess.
$150K.
Yeah.
The dude makes $150K, and he started with a TED Talk that was jacked audio and video. But here's why I did the TED Talk. I did the TEDx talk because I realized that I need a vehicle to explain a unique breakthrough technology that I'm passionate about. Igniting Souls is about publishing, protecting, and promoting your intellectual property and turning it into 18 streams of income. If I have to hop on a webinar, hop on a training, hop on whatever, and explain it all the time, people might be like, who are you? What your credibility is jacked up, but it's going to take time. And that's where the vehicle, that's where I think you and Steve said, like the vehicle, the conduit of blockchain. And by the way, they picked the title, TEDx Oshkosh, Blockchain, the Future of Intellectual Property Protection, as a TEDx.
Yep.
What would you tell an author right now who says, look, I am so passionate about a book, Michelle, Overcoming Addictions for Children, teens. What would you say about an author who's so passionate about their message, but now they can put it inside not only a book, but inside a video TEDx?
Right. What I would say is it's one of the best exercises you'll ever do personally and professionally. And the reason that I say that is that it has to be so concise and so clear.
Oh, wow.
You will grow from the experience.
That's the truth.
And you'll never regret learning how to clearly articulate this thing as well as you possibly can. Right.
You nailed it, man. I almost felt like I was part of a club,
Yep.
Like the TEDx club afterwards. Cause it's like you've gone through Navy SEALs. You know what I'm saying? Like you've gone through the Navy SEALs of like speaking or something. So Cesar, I know you get so many people asking you for help. I mean, your calendar is booked a month. We have a link right now, and this doesn't mean that people can work with you or will work with you, but there's a link called ignitingsouls.com/insider. we had a special training the other day where we, took some of our people through, all kinds of publishing opportunities. So you can't really pay attention to anything on this thing except for the very bottom, TEDx talk. So if people are interested in the TEDx talk, we will vet them because, again, we want it to be a good fit for you and them. Like, we're not going to send people to Cesar if this is not going to be good for you, because if you don't have a good, compelling thing, we don't want to, waste your time. So go click ignitingsouls.com/insider, scroll down, click TEDx talk. I will either connect you with Cesar for the TEDx, or if you need speaker training, Cesar does it as well. But I got to give a shout out to my friend John too, because Cesar, I just didn't want to blow you up the week before because, man, you offered it. You offered it, man. But I was like, he's given so much. And so I was blowing up John a little bit.
No worries, man. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm happy to figure out how we can support folks. And, I appreciate you kind of funneling folks through because, we are busy, but I love working with your people. They
awesome.
bring a lot to the table.
They're awesome people. So folks, that is how you literally, if you know somebody, tag them. If you know someone who's like, man, they should be on a TEDx stage, do it. Cesar, get this. Remember that guy with the disability, Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
I already got him a speaking gig.
Did you really?
He already
Cool.
spoke to my class.
Oh, I love that.
That's Cedarville. I'm like, listen, man, you got to come speak. So maybe we wrap, Cesar, with just 2 minutes. Why do you do this? I mean, why have you dedicated your life not only to be an amazing communicator? You've been in comedy. You do. Man, I'll tell you what, I felt so jealous in a good way, like jealous, happy, because you would read my script and I'm like, man, he's good. I was like, wow, he's good. How do you do that? You can, the way I do books is the way you do talks. I mean,
yeah, I think, yeah. So what I would say is like where I am today, as most of us go, if you have a growth mindset, everything that you experienced is used to arrive where you are, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how I view where I am, is that my first career was as a stand-up comedian. I was an actor. I was a speaker for a while, traveled and did that. I taught, in the theater department at a college.
Really?
I was an administrator at a college, which, taught me a lot about just communication and conflict resolution. And so there's all these sort of layers of things that I've always felt like I had this, duality about me, where there was this creative sort of force, but then there was a very analytical part of me. Yeah. And I always thought I had to keep them separate. Like because I think others didn't see the creative part aligning with the analytical, I told myself that they didn't go together. But when I allowed those two things to come together, this amazing, beautiful thing happened where I get to serve people using all of these skills. And so I just love it. Every day I love it.
You're awesome. I don't even know what Kim said here, but really great value as always. Thank you. I appreciate that. So cool. We got Betty tagging, or Vivian tagging Betty and Renee and Natalie. This was awesome. Let's close with this. By the way, folks, some people are asking for the link. Thanks, Tanisha. IgnitingsSouls.com/insider. Scroll all the way down on the bottom. Click TEDx. We'll vet you. We'll connect with Cesar and John. But what do you hope you do with the book? Because I mean, and what is your book title? Are you allowed to say?
So I'm playing. As you know, this creative side of me is kind of playing with things, and the more that we've been writing, the things start to emerge. And to me, this is the creative process, is that if you try to control it too much, then it doesn't actually breathe, and you have to allow it to become what it wants to become. Yeah. And you have to be taught by what you're creating. Wow. And so what I'll say is, for me, more and more, I just kept asking, how do I create transformation in this in 300 pages or
Wow.
whatever it is, right? And so that's my goal, is that really that people get it, and it blows their mind, and they're just like, oh wow, I never knew that I could make all these connections in speech writing, whether it's a TEDx or a keynote or a wedding toast or whatever it is. My goal is to sort of have people think about it in this new way.
The TEDx discipline has made me a 10x speaker. And I'm not saying, oh, I just got 10 times better. What it helped me do, though, was it helped me massively appreciate a new craft. And I will never speak again the same way. Do you remember how jacked my script was when I first like started polishing it? Man, you remember I found like all these pictures of kids on the playground? You remember how bad this was, dude? I was like I was so broad. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I learned, is that as a speaker, I used to be massively broad. And then you guys taught me how to like dial it in.
Yeah.
I felt so comfortable on the stage. I was so nervous before, but the moment I got out there, I don't even remember what I said. And the reason why is because I internalized it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that for you, Kary. And this is one of the most common things, is that, we jump in, and a lot of my clients have the same experience where it's like, the rounds of edits shouldn't be seen as failure. The rounds of edits should be seen as getting closer to the final product. And if you really fall in love with the editing process and treat it as though like, this thing is emerging, right? It's happening. Then that's where you can have fun with it. But most of us, because for whatever reason,
I love it.
We've been taught that you get a grade, and then if it's not an A+ the first time you turn it in, then it's a fail. What do you got?
I got the talk, man.
That's the final draft?
This is the final draft. It probably went through 11 times. I've been carrying this around in my briefcase. I'll probably carry it around for a long time, if not forever. And the reason why, Cesar, like, I can't tell you the mental freedom I had when I finished this. But man, I don't know. I tell people this. You tell me if you agree with this. I say to people, you will never be the same person before you write your book as in after you write your book. Like I tell people, you will massively have a transformation.
Yeah.
And it's true for every book I've written. Do you agree with this? Like, not just a speech, but like a really intense process, like a TEDx.
I do, because, ideas aren't real until you communicate them. And then they teach you something about you. So I totally agree with that. Whether you're creating a TEDx talk or a book, if you're really if you really mean it and you really want to give something, there's no way that you can't not be transformed by it.
So good, folks. Cesar Cervantes, he is going to have his own book coming out. We're not going to share the title today. We'll kick off the launch sometime soon. The people in the comments have been so kind. Vivian says, yes, I've had to follow my own process. Take care, everybody. IgnitingSouls.com/insider. Fill it out. We'll get you to the right people. Thanks for being here, Cesar.
Thanks, everyone. Love it. Looking forward to working with some of you.